A dangerous drug is spreading across the world. It's called Captagon. This highly addictive stimulant is tearing apart communities and fueling conflicts. Captagon is cheap to make and easy to get. This makes it a growing problem for law enforcement. The effects of Captagon are devastating. Users experience euphoria and increased energy, but these feelings come with a heavy price. Captagon can cause paranoia, hallucinations, and violent behavior. Long-term use can lead to serious health problems, including heart attacks and strokes. The epicenter of the Captagon crisis is the Middle East. The drug is readily available and widely abused in the region. Captagon profits are used to finance terrorist organizations and criminal networks. This fuels instability and violence in an already volatile region. The world must wake up to the growing threat of Captagon. We need a coordinated global effort to stop the production, trafficking, and consumption of this dangerous drug. Captagon is the street name for a drug containing phenethylene. Phenethylene is a synthetic stimulant that combines amphetamine and theophylline. Amphetamine is a powerful stimulant that affects the central nervous system. Theophylline is a drug that relaxes airway muscles. Captagon pills are typically crudely made. They often contain a mix of phenethylene and other substances like caffeine and fillers. This makes it difficult to determine the exact dosage and potency of each pill. This inconsistency increases the risk of overdose and other adverse effects. The combination of amphetamine and theophylline in Captagon creates a powerful and dangerous high. Users experience increased alertness, energy, and confidence. However, these effects are often accompanied by unpleasant side effects. These include anxiety, insomnia, paranoia, and aggression. The chemical makeup of Captagon makes it highly addictive. Users quickly develop a tolerance to the drug. They need to consume larger and more frequent doses to achieve the desired effect. This cycle of addiction can have severe consequences for both physical and mental health. Captagon has a dark and troubled history. Its story is one of initial promise followed by widespread misuse and eventual notoriety. The journey of Captagon from a medical marvel to a global menace is both fascinating and alarming. It was first synthesized in Germany in the 1960s. The drug was developed by a team of scientists who were exploring new treatments for various mental health conditions. They believed they had discovered a breakthrough. It was initially marketed as a treatment for narcolepsy, ADHD, and depression. Advertisements from the era touted its benefits, promising relief for those who struggled with these debilitating conditions. Doctors believed that the drug's stimulating effects could help patients focus and control their impulses. They prescribed it widely, hoping it would improve the quality of life for many. However, it soon became clear that Captagon had a high potential for abuse and addiction. Patients began to misuse the drug, leading to severe health consequences. The medical community started to see the darker side of this so-called wonder drug. By the 1980s, most countries had banned the drug due to its dangerous side effects. Governments around the world recognized the threat it posed and took action to remove it from the market. Despite the ban, Captagon production continued in clandestine labs, primarily in the Middle East. These illegal operations flourished, driven by the high demand for the drug. Captagon's use shifted from a medical treatment to a tool for illicit activities. It became a popular choice among those looking for a powerful stimulant, and its illegal trade grew rapidly. Militant groups and criminal organizations recognized the drug's potential for profit. They saw an opportunity to fund their activities through the production and sale of Captagon. They began producing and trafficking Captagon on a large scale. The drug trade became a significant source of income for these groups, fueling further criminal and militant activities. The profits from Captagon sales have been used to finance terrorism, insurgency, and organized crime. The drug has become a key element in the funding of these dangerous activities. Today, Captagon is considered a major threat to global security. Its widespread use and the violence associated with its trade have made it a priority for international law enforcement agencies. Its use in conflict zones has exacerbated violence and instability. The drug is often used by fighters to enhance their performance in battle, leading to more brutal and prolonged conflicts. The international community is struggling to combat the growing Captagon trade. Efforts to curb its production and distribution are ongoing, but the challenge remains immense. The story of Captagon is a stark reminder of how a drug intended to heal can become a tool of destruction. Section 4. Fueling conflict. Captagon's role in war zones. Captagon has become a weapon of war in the Middle East. This potent stimulant, originally developed as a treatment for conditions like narcolepsy and depression, has found a dark new purpose in the hands of those embroiled in conflict. The drug is readily available in conflict zones, often sold in street markets and through covert channels. Its accessibility makes it a common choice for those looking to escape the harsh realities of war. It is used by both militants and civilians caught in the crossfire. For civilians, Captagon offers a temporary respite from the constant fear and trauma of living in a war zone. For militants, it provides a strategic advantage. Captagon is cheap to produce, easy to smuggle, and highly profitable. The production process is relatively simple, requiring basic chemical knowledge and equipment, which makes it an attractive venture for those looking to make quick money. This makes it an attractive source of income for armed groups and criminal networks. The profits from Captagon sales are often used to fund further conflict, purchasing weapons and other supplies needed to sustain prolonged engagements. Fighters use Captagon to stay awake for days, suppress their appetites, and numb their emotions. The drug's stimulant properties allow them to maintain high levels of alertness and energy, which are crucial in the unpredictable and often grueling conditions of warfare. The drug allows them to fight longer, harder, and with less regard for their own safety or the lives of others. This heightened aggression and diminished sense of fear can lead to more brutal and relentless combat scenarios. This creates a more brutal and unpredictable battlefield. The presence of Captagon can escalate conflicts, making them more violent and harder to control. Captagon is also used to recruit and control child soldiers. These young recruits are given the drug to make them more compliant and less fearful, effectively turning them into tools of war. Children are particularly vulnerable to the drug's addictive properties. Once addicted, they become dependent on their captors for their next dose, making it easier for militant groups to manipulate and control them. They are more likely to become dependent on Captagon and easier to manipulate. This dependency strips them of their autonomy and makes it difficult for them to escape the cycle of violence and addiction. This exploitation of children is a tragic consequence of the Captagon trade. The psychological and physical toll on these young individuals is immense, often leaving lasting scars that persist long after the conflict has ended. The proliferation of Captagon in war zones has created a vicious cycle of violence and addiction. The drug fuels conflict, which in turn creates a demand for more Captagon, perpetuating a never-ending loop of destruction. The drug fuels conflict, which in turn creates a demand for more Captagon. This cycle benefits those who profit from the drug trade, but it devastates communities and prolongs suffering. Breaking this cycle is crucial for bringing peace and stability to the region. Efforts to curb the production and distribution of Captagon must be paired with initiatives to address the underlying causes of conflict and provide support for those affected by addiction. Humanitarian aid and rehabilitation programs play a vital role in this process. By providing medical care, psychological support, and alternative livelihoods, these programs can help individuals break free from the grip of Captagon and rebuild their lives. Collaboration between local communities, governments, and international organizations is essential. Only through a united effort can the cycle of Captagon-fueled violence be broken, paving the way for a more peaceful and stable future. The ultimate goal is to create an environment where the next generation can grow up free from the shadows of war and addiction. By addressing the root causes and providing comprehensive support, we can hope to see a brighter future for these war-torn regions. Section 5. Faces of Addiction, Real-Life Stories of Captagon's Grip. Behind the headlines about Captagon trafficking and conflict are the heartbreaking stories of individuals whose lives have been shattered by the drug. These stories often go untold, hidden behind the statistics and the sensational news reports. Yet, they are the real faces of the Captagon crisis, the human beings who bear the brunt of this devastating epidemic. These are the faces of addiction, the human cost of the Captagon trade. Each face tells a story of pain, loss, and struggle. The drug does not discriminate. It affects men, women, and children alike, tearing apart families and communities. One such story is that of Ahmed, a Syrian refugee living in Lebanon. Ahmed's life was turned upside down by the war in Syria. Forced to flee his home, he found himself in a foreign land, struggling to survive. Ahmed became addicted to Captagon while trying to cope with the trauma of war and displacement. The drug offered a temporary escape from his harsh reality, but it soon became a prison of its own. He lost his job, his family, and his health to the drug. Ahmed's addiction spiraled out of control, leaving him isolated and destitute. His once bright future was now overshadowed by the dark cloud of Captagon. Ahmed's story is a stark reminder of the devastating impact Captagon can have on individuals and families. It is a tale of lost potential and broken dreams, a testament to the destructive power of addiction. Another story is that of Fatima, a young woman forced into early marriage by her family. In her new life, she faced pressures and challenges she was unprepared for. Fatima's husband introduced her to Captagon. What started as a means to cope with her difficult circumstances quickly turned into a nightmare. She became addicted and was subjected to physical and emotional abuse. Her husband used her addiction to control and manipulate her, trapping her in a cycle of dependency and violence. Fatima's story highlights the vulnerability of women and girls to Captagon addiction and exploitation. It underscores the need for targeted interventions to protect and support those most at risk. These stories are just a glimpse into the human toll of the Captagon epidemic. Each story is unique, yet they all share common threads of suffering and resilience. Countless individuals and families are struggling with addiction, violence, and poverty as a result of this dangerous drug. The ripple effects of Captagon addiction extend far beyond the individual, impacting entire communities and societies. Their stories underscore the urgent need for effective interventions to address the Captagon crisis. It is not enough to combat the supply of the drug, we must also provide support and resources for those affected by it. Only through a comprehensive approach can we hope to alleviate the suffering and restore hope to those caught in Captagon's grip.